Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is B Wall. I would like to invite you all and welcome you to this space here. We're going to be discussing quite a number of things, but top on the agenda is that thing that has been tugging at so many people's hearts and minds, which is education. We're living in a very interesting time. We're living in a time where you cannot run away from the fact that education always has been and always will be one of the biggest building blocks for the growth of the nation. But we're living in a time where there's a lot of dissemination of information, which is both a good thing and a dangerous thing. A good thing because it's easier now to know stuff that's happening around the world, but also a dangerous thing because the speed at which half truths and lies are spread is really ridiculous. So this conversation is premised on the fact that a new parent out there, or even an old parent, or basically any guardian who's got a child that should be in school, is struggling with how to go about parenting, especially from the point of view of finding the right school for them. So the reason for this conversation is to kind of break down into granular, consumable bits and pieces information about this monster, called primary education in Uganda. The world is changing; it's really, really changing fast, and we have a couple of interesting speakers who will be helping us to deconstruct this subject. I have with me Jacqueline Kinzi Mubezi, who will be sharing with us. She's from USAID. She's one of those profound health communications experts, and she's been at it for so many years. We've got Benjamin Watmon from ICEA Lion Life Assurance. He'll also be sharing with us. We've got Catherine Tucker, who's big on education. She's a specialist as well. And then I'm not forgetting Dr. Deborah Rebecca Chaze Magera, who is from the curriculum. She's a curriculum specialist, a consultant, she's an educator, and basically she's been in and around education also for quite a number of years. So these are very profound brains that we're going to be picking from in this conversation today. Before I go any further, the conversation, this discussion, this space is hosted by the Stoneridge School. For those who don't know about the Stoneridge School, we'll be sharing a bit more about them as we go along. But just so you know, they have some big things that are happening at the school very, very, very soon. And anybody who's just kind of in that space where you're wondering, where can I take my child? What are the options? What are the good schools? Anyway, what should I be looking out for? I can confidently tell you that you're in the right place. Just sit tight and make yourself a cup of tea as you enjoy the conversation. Later on, we shall be welcoming comments, questions, opinions, and some bits and pieces of advice from folks who might have a bit to share on the subject. Before I go any further, I'm going to request my speakers to ask for the microphone, so we can roll out, so we can kickstart the conversation. If you could request for the microphone, Jackie, Benjamin, Catherine, and Dr. Chaze, if you could request for the microphone, that would be a wonderful thing, so that we can kickstart, this discussion. But just so I can set the scene for you, for the person who's just joining us now, once again, welcome. My name is Biwall, and we're going to be discussing primary education in Uganda. How how to wrap your mind around the choices that you're making for your child, and how to be a part of the discussion around growing primary education, not just for your child or your community, but for the country as a whole, because ultimately, and these are the words of the president, all of us have got to play our role in growing this country. So I do have my speakers. I am going to request them to introduce themselves one at a time. I will begin with Jackie. If you could quickly tell us, your name and what you do, and how your week has been, how your week is going, that would be fantastic. I'm going to move on very quickly as we wait for Jackie. Benjamin. Benjamin is here with us. Benjamin is from ICEA Lion Life Assurance. Benjamin, talk to me. How are you? How is your week? What's going on? And how is life?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Benjamin Watmon. I work with ICA Lion Life Assurance, as you have said. I'm a proud parent at the Stoneridge School. My week so far has been good. Apart from the rains, I can't complain much. And I'm so happy to join this discussion. Thank you so much.
Fabulous, fabulous. It's good to have you on, Benjamin. Yeah, it's been raining everywhere. Obviously, up country, this is a celebration because when it rains, these are good times. For us in the city, it's different. So, yeah. Catherine, I don't know if you're with us. Catherine, if you could say hello to us, that would be fantastic. How are you? How's your week?
Hi. I'm very happy to be here. My week's going well. I've actually just spent a really good start to the week at Stoneridge School, working with some children and on some creativity projects. So yeah, that's me at my happiest. So I'm happy to be here.
Fantastic, awesome. It's always good to get that happiness. It's very infectious, and it's good to share it around. So good to have you here, Catherine. We'll be diving into some of those good things you're doing with the kids as we go along. I don't know if Dr. Deborah is with us. I don't see her on here as a speaker, but I'm confident she will join us as we go along. We do have, Dr. Deborah Rebecca Chaze, who'll be speaking to us a bit about the curriculum, and we'll be diving into the conversation around, the strengths and weaknesses of this UNEP-based curriculum and how we can really get the most out of it, how we can harness that energy that we are collecting, that we are gathering, both as educators, teachers, and even as parents and guardians and well-wishers. We'll be getting into that discussion. So like I mentioned earlier on, just to set the scene for anybody who's joining us just now, this conversation, we're trying to deconstruct this fast changing thing called primary education, which, as we've all agreed, is a very dynamic it's something of a moving target, if I will, because when as a parent, when you're looking for the right school for your child, back in the day, you kind of knew what you wanted, right? In the sense that you knew what was demanded of you. I need my child to go to school and pass, and that was it. But now you want more than just them to pass. You want more than just that academic excellence. You want a lot more. You want your child to be rounded. You want your child to have a full education and not just a classroom or a a blackboard kind of education. You want a full education. So we're trying to dive into that conversation. And like I said, later on, I'll be allowing and giving you guys opportunity as the listeners to chime in and share with us your 2 cents on this thing. I will roll off the conversation very quickly. I'll start with Catherine. Catherine, first of all, I'm happy with your enthusiasm. It's rubbed off onto me, and I'm equally excited. I just want to get a sense from you as a person who works with children. What exactly is it about the education system that has changed? Because back in the day, like I said, back in the day, education was kind of this traditional go get it done situation, right? It was about the destination. It was about where you're going. But today, there is more emphasis on the journey, right? So you don't necessarily have to worry about the results, but the process of getting the results. So first, talk to us about that difference and that change. And as a person who has been in the industry, what does it look like for somebody who crawled out of a cave now, from the 90s and is just woken up now and realizes, oh my God, this is not how education was. What's that change been like?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I was at school many, many, many years ago, and the schools have changed drastically from when I was at school, and they should do too, because I mean, I think I heard recently 85% of what we've learned about the brain, we've learned in the last 15 years. So, I mean, I was at teaching college, I was at university in Oxford studying education 25 years ago. And what I learned should be out of date. And, because we know so much more now about the science of learning, how children and adults take in information and how they process that information, and what factors help them learn better and what factors get in the way of learning and stop us learning. So just scientifically, we know more how we learn better, and as well as that, we also are in a fast changing world. So the world is very different now to when I was at school. I'm going to tell you my age now, like 40 years ago. The world's changed, you know. So my grandparents were refugees from Poland, and they escaped from Poland just as the Second World War kicked off. And they very quickly had to pack all their belongings. And so they kind of packed their most valuable things. And as they traveled across Europe, one of the things that was their most valuable thing was a set of encyclopedias, which is huge and big, enormous. But that's how highly they valued knowledge. Now, kind of fast forward 90 years or whatever, and that's not necessary anymore. If you ask me a question, I can just look at my phone and get the information. I don't need, if I'm a doctor, I don't need to remember everything now. How a doctor maybe 50 years ago needed to remember things. I now need to know where to reference things. I need to know what's accurate information, what's not accurate information. But actually, the sort of facts, I don't need to memorize in the same way. So, the world is changing, and I think we need to remember as well that, we're not, we our children are in school today. So, I've got a boy in P5, and I'm not just wanting him to get to P6 and P7 and do his PLE, and I'm not just wanting him to get to the right secondary school, although I do want all that. What I really want to be thinking about is I'm educating him for a world in 40 years' time, and what will he need for that I need to give him now, So I think that's why we need to be seeing how education's changing.
Yeah, great. And again, like I said, I think you're very well placed to give context to the change, because I mean, as somebody who is, as has been around the world, you've seen how globally the trends have changed. And going by what you're saying, the most important things we've learned about the brain, or these big things we've learned about the brain, are only recent developments. So that means we kind of have to tune the education to embrace these new changes. I'm going to move to Watmon. Benjamin, first off, I get the sense that, first of all, in this space, there's just the two of us as males, right? For a very long time, a lot of these spaces have been dominated by men. It's a bit of a relief to be in a space where we're somewhat evenly matched. But that's besides the point. Benjamin, I need to hear from you first about what your opinion is on these trends that are changing, that we kind of forcefully have to embrace. And then two, on the fact that a young parent struggles with a lot of things. Obviously, you have to look for the money, but that's not the only struggle. The other struggle is you've got to look for the right school. Again, as we were earlier on intimating, back in the day, it was a bit easier. It's easy. You have these schools you apply to, and you're accepted, and you go, and it was kind of everybody was graded based on, how you've passed your exams. But today, you want a school that caters to the specific needs of your child. So for you to find that school, you have to traverse the city or the country trying to vet these schools, which is a job in itself. Yeah, I want to get a sense from you, Benjamin, what you feel today's parent has got to have at the back of their mind as they're looking for a school for their child. What are those key pointers that they should have at their fingertips when they're moving around trying to find the right school for their child? Benjamin.
Thank you, moderator. I think we are not only the males in this discussion, but I was told we went to the same school. Maybe we can discuss that after. But back to your question, I think one of the key things that me as a parent look when looking for a school that suits my children, I'll first of all look at a school that is safe for my kids to attend to, a school where teachers have hope for my kids. As a parent, I want to get involved in the education of my kid. This is done through feedback from teachers. Should be a two-way street between the parent and the teacher. So it's not all about academics, but also what the kid is doing, what is the kid good at. I want a school where a teacher can support my child's potential in different aspects of life, not basically the books and passing exams. I think which is, if you look at most of the schools around the Kampala metropolitan, that's Kampala, Wakiso, I think most the key focus is basically on how to pass the PL exams, how when they appear in exams. When looking for a school, I also look at a school where co-curricular activities are a must for the kid. There's a saying that work without play makes Jack a dull boy. So I look at that, and which is key to the development of my kid. So basically, to summarize, what I look at is a committed, happy, and effective teaching staff, a safe school environment for my kid, a strong communication between the teacher and the parent to know what's going on in school, a fun and supportive school environment for my kid where his kid can strive, they build their confidence, they build their social skills, and above all, they being kept in the loop of what's happening in the school, the achievements of the kids, how is it appreciated in school. Yeah, basically that's what I'll be looking at.
Yeah, great. From what I'm gathering, parenting now has got to be more involving, right? If you're trying to pave a way for your child to get a good education, it's not just enough for you to find the right school. As a parent or a guardian, you have got to be involved 150%, which now obviously raises the question that how, as a parent, are you going to distribute your resources, your brain capacity, your work, your time, to be able to go out there and put bread on the table, put roof over this child's head, put clothes on their back, put food in their belly, but also be involved in their upbringing, be involved in their education. I'm going to hope that Jackie has finally figured this out. Hi, Jackie, what's going on? How is your day?
Hi, Bernard. And everyone else. It's a very good evening from me. I was earlier asked to introduce myself shortly. My name is Jacqueline, and I'm a health communications manager. My specialty is majorly in communications, and I'm glad to be on this space with all these big brains I'm seeing around. I don't know, Bernard, ask. Now I'm here.
Yeah, now that you're here and now that I have you, Jackie, first of all, I feel like I have to say this as a mother of four, not one, not two, not 3, but
I've been
4
busy.
children. Yeah, you are the ultimate definition of a hardworking parent, right? And for me, hardworking isn't in the sense that you cater to their basic needs and whatnot, but in the sense that you cater to their basic needs, but you also are aware that you as the parent are a full complete human being, right? And when we talk about education for children, one of the things that, and this is something that I want you to speak to, especially since you're an expert at communication and whatnot, one of the challenges that parents have is assuming that the role of educating the child is solely on the school or the teachers, for that matter, right? And so parents sometimes absolve themselves of that duty or step away from that duty. How are you as a parent able to involve yourself in raising and educating 4 bundles of joy? How do you do this?
Oh my God, there are indeed 4 bundles of joy, and there can be 4 bundles of something. Well, it's a challenge. Yeah, it could be a challenge, or it could be joy. Having to raise these children, having to prepare them. I have children ranging from the biggest is 14, and the youngest is just 2 years old. And first of all, I'm glad to say that I have 3 of them at the Stoneridge School, the one that is hosting this particular event. And it's been quite a journey. I should say I could write a whole story about this entire process. It all starts from how you prepare them very early in the morning, how you are able to beat the traffic jam, all the way up to school. And the very reason as to why I actually had to choose the Stoneridge School is because it's within my vicinity. I am a resident of Kira, and I realized that it was taking a toll on their health. Every morning I had to wake them up very early in the morning, prepare them, take them to the school very far away, about 7 kilometers from where we were staying, and then I had to bring them back in the evening. Sometimes they have homework along the way. I have to look up. I have to supervise that as well. So it became quite a challenge for me. So I realized that the first thing that I needed in a school, that was, I think, your first question, was the proximity. How near is the school to where I'm living, and I would be able to take my children there. And I'm glad that I got the best choice. It's not easy at all, as you're trying to prepare the person you feel is eldest, who could actually give you a hand. There is now again the young one who is pulling at your boo boo. She's still breastfeeding, and mommy, I want boo boo, and mommy, I've lost my sock. Mommy, I've done this and this. So it becomes mommy and mommy all through. But I'm glad that I have a very strong support system in my husband, who has also been very, very supportive in that line, and in that we share, we literally share chores. When it's Monday and I know that I'm the one supposed to pick the children, I will make sure I wind up very fast with my job and be at school early enough, good enough. Our children are just a stone throw away from where they go to school. So sometimes they actually walk there, and it has taken off a whole load off my back, or off our backs. We are able to do other things. Now, going into the academic stuff as well, we make sure that we try to be there. One of the reasons as to why I believe I have been chosen to be part of the panel is because I'm very, very there, if I could say. I'm so invested in my children's education. I make sure that I have this open communication with the teachers, with their teachers one-on-one. I want to understand what exactly is happening to them at that kind of personal basis, not necessarily having to wait for the parent-teacher day for me to go and interact, but even on an everyday basis. One thing I am very thankful for the Stoneridge is that they've left the communication open. there are very many channels of communication where we can reach the parents. There's that bit of teacher-parent interaction that is very strong. And it has helped us to understand how our children are going, what are their emotions, what is their psychology, because education involves a lot of things. It's not only the work that they are pumped in, but also their everyday interaction with their peers. So I make sure that I want to know that side of things, how my children are working, how they are interacting with their teachers, how they are interacting with their peers. There's the bit of discipline. I'm a very, very tough disciplinarian. I could be having my soft side, but when it comes to my children, I am very, very disciplined. But I cannot do that 24/7 because I won't always be there with them. That is why I entrust the teachers to do the disciplining for me on my behalf. And I'm glad that we have a strong foundation in terms of discipline. I have children who, I should say, when you put them on the pedestal for discipline in this country, I could say they score high up there. And not that to strum my own guitar or anything, but I'm very proud in that line. I've raised up very good disciplined children. So in a nutshell, I could say that that's how I'm interacting, how I have been able to interact with my children, having a very good support system around me, but also impacting discipline and knowledge into my children to know that even where I am not, I am the kind of person who is always up country. I'm always having field work here and there. And I would know that even in the absence of my husband, oh, by the way, we don't even have any helper like a house manager at home. No, we do all these things by ourselves. But my children are able to have that responsibility in them, that where mommy or daddy is not, I will be the elder. The second born will be the elder where the firstborn is not. The third born will be the elder where the second or the firstborn is not. So we impact into them that kind of discipline, and I'm glad to say that it has really paid off. Thank you. Over back to you, Bernard.
Yeah. At, at the risk of sounding, like I'm saying a lot about Jackie. I think you are what we would call a model parent, if there's any such thing, right? Because you're some of the people who give parenting hope. Because there's all these horrible stories that float around the internet about parents who are misdoing their job. Yeah, parents who are absent. Parents who are negligent, and you're standing out as one of those who is not just present but also fully aware of your responsibility, of your duty, and kudos to you. I want to hope that Dr. Rebecca can now speak. I'm going to request you to unmute your microphone, Doctor, and just say hello to the people so we can set the ball rolling on your end. Doctor, if you could say hello to us. Yeah, in the meantime, yes, Jackie mentioned some very profound things about having a school that is not so far from where you live, because proximity is a very key thing. And I got there's a message here from one of the people in the space. Nada is well, we call her a person who smuggles optimism into Uganda. She's one of those people always looking for ways to not just grow the society as a whole, but the nation as a whole. And she's just shared with us that just imagine Uganda with kids walking to primary school, driving kids at 6 a.m. to a school across Kampala is a health hazard, and I agree with her. And she adds that kids need their sleep. They really do. Quality of primary school does not matter. Parents have a big role to play in early development. And she adds that Jack is doing the right thing. So yeah, thank you, Nada. Later on, guys, you feel free to request for the microphone, and then yeah, we'll add you to the list of speakers so you can share your 2 cents. I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back to Catherine. Catherine, picking off from what Jackie has said about the importance of the involvement of parents in raising children, and especially in terms of education, because the one thing that that the Stoneridge School has done is, like Jackie said, create those communication channels where parents are part of the education, right? So your role is not just to pick and drop your child, but your role also is to interface with the parents, rather with the teachers, interface with the people who are helping to raise your child, right, and to educate your child. I want to ask a question, for you as a person who is, well, I don't want to say on the other end of the divide, but the person who interacts with the children. What is the importance of a parent being ever present in this growth process of a child? Because I mean, the parent is not expert in educating, right? They are experts at just raising the child, and when they bring the child to school, the assumption is the people at school should take care of that responsibility. What's the role of what's the benefit that a child gets when a parent is involved? What's the role that a Stoneridge parent is giving? What's the importance that a Stoneridge parent is giving the child, because they're always involved? Because from what we are gathering, the parents at Stoneridge are very, very involved in the education of their children. So what benefit is a child in that school getting over a child in another school where they say the parent only drops them and picks them?
Yeah, thank you. So, I mean, just looking, parents are the first teacher for children. And actually, I disagree with you. Parents are educators, and they're some of the best educators. And, research time and time again shows us that where the children that do best are ones where there's a strong partnership between home and school. Um, and so, as much as possible, you want to involve the parents in the school day, and the parents want to sort of reference the school day as much as possible. So yeah, parents are actually the first teacher of the child. And I mean, children's brains sort of when they're younger, the younger they are, the faster their brain is growing, in a sense. And in those especially in those early years, it really is just the parent that the child is prime carer and teacher. So I'm going to disagree with you there. Parents are teachers too.
Yeah. Look, I'm happy to be corrected, because again, you as the expert, part of why this space is there, so that you can demystify some of these assumptions we've been having, some of these horrible misconceptions we've been having. Because, for instance, like I said, um, for me, the thinking was or has been that there's the parent on this side, and then there's a teacher on that side. But what you're now kind of bringing on the table is that it's not this side and that side. The lines are
It's a
blurred, for lack
team.
of another. Exactly. For lack of another word, we are kind of doing the same thing. We're kind of helping each other. So yeah. And there I'm with you. I want to stick with you still, um, because the one thing that I've also been introduced to is the fact that the Stoneridge School, one of the things that they're very, very strong on is learning outside the classroom, right? Because today's, like you had kind of alluded to earlier, today's learning is very environmental, for lack of another word, because you don't just learn in the classroom, you also learn outside of the classroom, right? Which means there's all these things that children have to get involved in. Some of them are really just fun, right? But they are building blocks on the ability of a child to to have cognitive, like to grow their mental capacities. My question to you is, what is the role of that transition from learning strictly in a classroom to learning also outside of the classroom, to learning using other resources, say the internet, to using video, to using all these other additional learning resources? What change does that create? What improvement, what benefit as a child is being added onto them? What difference is there that the child is getting now that they never used to, for example?
Yeah, I think maybe what we should do before I fully answer that question is just kind of have a little pause and think about what is learning, in a sense, because if we think learning is, getting a question and getting it right or wrong and moving on, and then that can be quite limited to a classroom setting. But if we think that what we want to do with these children is sort of, and I sometimes say that sort of, is to educate them, and there's a difference between being educated and being schooled, in a sense. And being educated is that you're sort of preparing children for their lives as adults to be happy, contented, successful, independent individuals. So if that's what we're kind of aiming at, then it doesn't, and I sometimes helps me to think of a successful person I know, and to think about, what qualities has helped them to get there and what it is. And it's very rarely just academic learning. It's often social learning, how people get on in social, teamwork, leadership, communication skills, being able to see things from different points of views, being able to think around issues, being able to be creative and problem solving, and to create those where you can kind of, an environment where children can learn those things and explore those things and think about those things, is going to look very different to a classroom where you're just having a right answer or a wrong answer. So once you've kind of thought that, then you do want children to think, you kind of want to take the classroom walls down in some instances, and you want to bring some things, like you mentioned, some different technologies or some arts into the classroom. And maybe if I just loop back to, you were talking about involving the parents, and I can kind of loop back to that and bring it up where we are. That one thing that we were doing at Stoneridge last week was looking at current affair issues. So we were looking at some issues that were in the news, and really not necessarily telling the children this is how something is, but rather seeing things from different points of views and trying to understand why that group or those people might have that point of view, and why this group or these people might have this point of view. And even sort of trying to send some of those conversations home and saying, could you go home and have a chat with your parents about that and see what view their views are. And I do think, sort of in a sense, back to parents being teachers, actually sitting and talking to your children at home and having conversations about issues that are around is a really, really important part of preparing your children for their futures.
Yeah, I'm starting to gather that a lot of the stuff some of us knew about education as a whole needs to be either thrown out the window or repolished, because clearly it's bigger than we thought. And thank you for highlighting the importance of having an immersive kind of process of learning, which does not just concentrate on passing exams, but also focuses on actual growth of the child, and a 360 kind of growth. I'm going to hope that Dr. Rebecca Chaze is. Oh, Catherine, you're saying something?
No, it's fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I will come back to you in a bit. Yeah. So just yeah. Dr. Rebecca, if you could unmute your mic and say hello to us. I'm hoping that finally Um, we can
Hello.
have. There you go, Doctor. Oh my goodness, this is this. It's so nice to hear your
That's
voice. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm so privileged to have got the opportunity to be part of this forum, and I'm grateful for all the discussions. I've been listening in for all the discussions since the time started. I'm happy.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm really
It's
so
good.
happy.
Yes, it's good to have you here, Doctor. And now that I have you, I'm going to put you on the spot right away. Right.
Yes.
First of
Yes.
all, before I even go any further, I want you to introduce yourself. Mubiti wabyo na, if you know what I mean, right? I want you to to tell us who Doctor
Yes.
is and what she does, so that we get context later when we're hearing you share with us.
Yes, right. Thank you so much. Of course, you had said most of the titles, but given the opportunity, I can still say so. At the moment now, I still serve with the National Curriculum Development Center as a curriculum specialist, and I'm in fact basically more responsible for the early childhood care and education. And at the same time, I do support other departments that come in. I'm an education advisor. I'm an educator. I train. I am a program assessor. I assess programs. Name it, actually. So in
Great.
a nutshell, I'm
Yes, you're
also a parent. I'm a parent counselor. I
okay.
counsel parents. I give sessions to parents. And even over this weekend, there are parents who are expecting me to meet them, to share with me what their challenges are, and I guide them accordingly.
It's marvelous that we have you here. It's an honor to have you here because,
Mm.
as somebody who's been in and around this sector, I think you're blessed to kind of carry on this conversation. And my first question to you is about, because when we have conversations around the curriculum, yeah, a
Mm.
lot of the discussions that people share are of the view that perhaps the curriculum needs to be tweaked somehow to accommodate modern trends, right? Because a lot of the stuff that we were taught back in the day, which was a long time ago, some of it still exists existed up until very in the curriculum. And so these changes that are happening, or the changes that you're putting forward, and the changes that you're introducing need to accommodate the changes that are happening in the global trends, right? My first question to you is, I mean, this UNEB-based curriculum that we have in Uganda, first off, what do we get from it that for you look at and you say this you cannot get anywhere else? What's that strength that this UNEB curriculum gives us? What is that one thing you would look at and say, I would kill for this? This is what our strength is. Or what's that one thing, first of all, Doctor?
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe what I would want to put right is that UNEB has no curriculum. UNEB is in for assessing what the learners have been taken through. Of course, there was always that issue of saying that the examination something. NCDC, or National Curriculum Development Center, is responsible for the curriculum right from the early years. In fact, this discussion, I wish it tickled up to the pre-primary. I wish it tickled from there, because the whole thing starts from the foundation. So in regard
That,
to
yes, please
in
continue.
regard in regard to the role of National Curriculum Development Center, we guide the Uganda National Examinations Board on what we have written as the curriculum to guide, to support them to come up with examinations that can be used to find out what children have been able to achieve. The good thing today, we are still calling back. The good thing today, we are still calling back the issue of continuous assessment. We would wish to see that children being assessed each other time, from the time the child gets into school up to the time the child leaves. There should be what we call the continuous assessment. So today, continuous assessment should be the trend to take. But of course, it has to be backed up. We have what we call backing up, which can go through the examination. Because all in all, it is a process that you cannot just call it off and say, let us all go continuous assessment from today. It is a process that has to be appreciated and also tried out to see what works well and what does not work well. I don't know whether I'm answering your concern, but I'm trying to put you right.
Yes.
That there is no curriculum. There is no curriculum set by UNEB. UNEB doesn't set curriculum. UNEB sets exams.
Yes, and
or out of the
yes, and
curriculum
this is a
which
very,
has
very
been
good.
prepared. Yeah, out of the curriculum which has been prepared by National Curriculum Development Center.
Yes, and
Yes.
this is very good. This is very good clarification, because part of why we're having these discussions, because for me, the greatest thing about, I mean, these conversations that we have is many people don't know these things, right? And many people have assumptions which need to be cleared. And I'm glad that you're helping us to kind of clear the air, and demystify some of those things that we thought. Because, for example, many of us have always thought that UNEB has a curriculum. So now, I want to stick with you that when NCDC has this curriculum, right, that it advises UNEB on and says, look, this is the curriculum that we think you should go by. If you're testing students, test them around these things, right? My question now to you is, I mean, when schools are trying to embrace, because I mean, every school wants their children to pass, yeah, there is a risk of steering out, because the curriculum is very expansive, it's wide, right? But there's a risk on schools focusing on the elements that they think are will be in the exams, and then steer away from all these others that may not necessarily be part of the exam but are equally important. Because like you've mentioned, NCDC creates this overall curriculum, but not everything can be tested, not everything is examinable, for lack of another word. So my question to you is, how is NCDC ensuring that schools don't just focus on passing that UNEB, but they have a wholesome curriculum which kind of gives a child this 360 growth, whereby you have to study these things irrespective of whether they'll come in the examination.
All right. Thank you so much. One of the issues which you are pointing out, it is like this. When we are done with our curriculum, the first thing we do is to conduct orientation trainings to make the teachers, the users who are going to have it, be able to interpret. And when we are done with that, we pass it on to the Teacher Education Department, Ministry of Education and Sports, to carry on the trainings. Now, what we also guide on is that when assessment is being conducted, there is need to observe what we call the Bloom's taxonomy. The Bloom's taxonomy has got different levels, and today we wouldn't wish to see that the children do cram work, but we want the child to be able to apply the concepts. The question should be of high order thinking questions, not questions which will require just cramming without understanding and without being able to apply the concepts. So in it all, when we prepare our curriculum, we also guide by providing sample questions sample prototypes, which are given over to your UNEB. And when we are developing our curriculum, we engage practicing teachers, we engage a team of expertise with whom we work to develop the curriculum. And after that, this curriculum undergoes quality assurance, and at the end of it, it is approved and therefore ready for use. So the issue of seeing that whether area X has been examined or not, the teachers are again guided on how to balance the questions, is what we call the test specifications, where there is need to show a matrix which is showing a balance of questions per level according to the Bloom's taxonomy that has the knowledge, the comprehension, the synthesis, the evaluation, the analysis. So now there are levels like the comprehension and application at this level are very, very important, where we want to see the child able to apply the concepts. It's quite a long story though, anyway. But we are again saying that continuous assessment should not leave the desk, because continuous assessment brings in also the parent. When the parent is invited to come and see how the child is getting on, the teacher is always in a position to give information about the child's progress in learning, other than waiting for exams at the end of the term. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Some very profound and somewhat technical language. But I'm glad that you mentioned that Bloom's taxonomy, because at least from what I've gathered from the Stoneridge School is the ability or the desire to want to create education and to offer education that caters to all those those tiers, so to say, whether it's create, being able to create, being able to evaluate, to analyze, to apply that information, to understand what is being taught, and to remember. Obviously, it's very important that you mentioned that, and I'll come back to you in a bit. But I want to first head to one of our other speakers, and for those who are just joining us, welcome. Yeah, we're having a conversation around primary education and how, in this ever-changing world, parents and guardians can kind of get a sense of what to give your children, how to give it to them, where to take your children, and what things to look out for, and and just be involved in the growth of your child's education. Yeah. So I have a couple of speakers with me here, but like I said, if you want to share your 2 cents, feel free to request for the microphone, and we will be happy to hear from you. If you have any question, if you have any comments, it would be nice to hear from you as we go along. Again, if you're just joining us, the Stoneridge School is hosting this space, and what they're trying to do is just to help parents and guardians and basically everyone to start having these conversations, right? To start having these in-depth conversations about what school are you taking your child to, what kind of curriculum do they have, what kind of teachers do they have, what kind of child do you want your little one to grow up into, what kind of education do you want them to get, the importance of the involvement of a parent. And we heard earlier on from Jackie, who is very involved in the raising and the education of her children, so much that we've decided to call her a model parent. Yeah. So I want to come to what more. There's something I want to ask you about the ability of a school, or the capacity, right, of a school, because there are times when you go to a school and they're promising you all these things, and they tell you, we have these, we'll fly our kids out twice a year, we'll buy our kids this, and they seem like they're promising heaven on earth, and it is heaven on earth. But when you look at the establishment, it doesn't give you the satisfaction, it doesn't give you the confidence, it doesn't give you You don't sleep well at night with comfort knowing that your child is going to get these things. But what is it about, for example, the Stoneridge School? Because when you get there, it's a massive establishment. It's huge. It's wide, and they have all these things. They have. I was even shocked that they have a bakery. Who does that? I mean, where they're training kids to do all these things. And I just want to understand from you, Watmon, what the importance of confidence is when a parent walks into a school and just what they see without necessarily even being told, without just seeing something and thinking, I think these guys can pull it off. What's the importance of that confidence to a parent? Watmon?
Thank you. When I took my kids to the Stoneridge School to do interview, at first I taken them somewhere else and they were not impressed with the school. I think one of the things that discouraged them were the desk and the hygiene, the latrine. So when we went to the Stoneridge School, we reached the gate. Wow, it was amazing, and they fell in love with the school there and then. So as a parent, what builds confidence in me when I'm taking my kids to a school? I think one of the key things is the ability for my kids to learn, to be engaged in the classroom environment. The social skills that should be developed, critical thinking, those ones build my confidence when looking for a good school. The method of teaching, we have so many, the innovative teaching methods that we have, problem solving skills, design thinking, competence based learning for the kids. So that's when the kid grows, they're able to be engaged, to be able to solve problems on their own. I mean, we are living in a challenging world right now. So a kid should be able to learn and solve these problems on their own. So those are the key things that for me will build confidence when I'm looking for a school. And I'm glad I can probably say those are the things I'm seeing right now in the Stoneridge School, which makes me a proud parent to be part of the journey of my kids learning. Thank you.
Yeah, lovely stuff. I'm getting the sense here that most, if not all, the parents that have been to the Stoneridge School have been impressed not just by, what they've seen on TV or heard on radio or been told on social media, but also by what they see when they walk into the gate of the school. Because your eyes very rarely lie to you, right? If somebody has told you that this thing is green and your eyes are telling you the thing is red, it would be hard for you to believe that. But if somebody tells you this thing is red and your eyes are seeing it's really, really bloody red, it's easy for you to believe. So the eye test is a very, very important thing. And this brings me now to Jackie. Jackie, again, as one of those profound parents of the school, I want to find out from you. People who live in the surrounding areas, Kira, Bulindo, Charlie Wajala, parts of Nsasa, and all these parts, right? You mentioned the importance of the proximity to the school, yeah, and as Nada had added on, it's very important for a child to be close to their school, preferably within walking distance, right? That way, you can be sure that they won't struggle with sitting in traffic for hours on end. They won't struggle with dozing off in traffic and being woken up at very wild, wicked, impossible hours just so they can make it to school. That's a very important thing. But then I want to steer a bit away from that and ask that as a parent, yeah, because you're not just a parent, but also you're an expert in this area specifically, right? Especially in terms of for you have your area is health communication, right? My question to you is, and Watmon mentioned that one of the important things is the health, right? The hygiene of the school, the ability of the school to just look after your child with a healthy environment, with cleanliness, where you're sure that your child is not going to go to school to pick up illnesses or diseases or flus or viruses of any kind. You're sure that your child is in a safe environment. When you, as a parent, go to when you go to this school, when you go to the Stoneridge school, two questions. One, what does it look like from a health point of view, right? And then two, as a parent, when you're looking for the best school for your child, I know you've mentioned the importance of discipline. I know you've mentioned the importance of education. I know now we're talking about the importance of health. But what else is a new parent, a young parent, a first timer as a parent, what should they be looking out for? Because I mean, like we say, there is the curriculum, but what other things should a parent be looking out for when they go to a school? They have their checkbox and they're like, okay, so this, that's good, that's good, this they don't have. And then at the end of the day, they can say out of 10, maybe the school has 8 or 9, I can work with that. Or out of 10, they have 2 or 3. What are some of those key things that a parent should look out for, using your experience with the Stoneridge schools? Jackie.
Okay, Bernard, thank you so much. So now what Mon said something very crucial. I'll give an example. When I was looking out for a school that would do for me and my children and everybody, there was a specific school. I wanted a school that was near where I was staying. And of course, there are a number of schools that are lined up along Kiran, Sasa, all the way up to Nadia. Okay. Now, there was a school I went to, and I thought it would be very good for my children and all. I've seen the bus picking up kids and all. But one aspect that I looked at when I went to visit the loos, oh my God, it was the first thing that opened my eyes, and I thought, no, this is not going to be the school for me. I visited the principal's office, and she told me that, yes, you see those schools that have very good infrastructure and all, but when it comes to curriculum, I mean, when it comes to academics, we are looking specific. The first priority we are holding is academics. So don't look at other things. I mean, yes, they should be there, but don't prioritize other things. Oh, that was a red flag already. I thought, oh my God. So these guys, if they are not prioritizing health, they won't prioritize things to do with food. They won't look at other things. It will only be academics from the word go. I said, goodbye, I'll come back, I'll get back to you. I never got back to them. There was somebody I was moving along with who told me, by the way, there's this new school. I used to look at this very huge poster along, it was, I think, situated near the Kira roundabout. And then I would always look at that poster and I thought, is this an international school? I mean, I've always heard about international schools and their exorbitant prices, fees and all. So you want me to enter into an international school and then they give me a bill of say $5,000 per child, me who has my 4 children? How am I going to handle that? And then the lady told me, I think she was actually an angel that time around, because I kept praying that, please God, direct me to a good school for my children. I'm tired of taking my children very early in the morning. It's taking a toll on their health. And there she was, the angel who came, and I just picked her along the road. I was just giving her a lift, and she pointed me to the Stoneridge school. So we went there with my husband, and the first thing that I noticed was the building, and I was, oh my God, I was like, yeah, now this is it. I visited especially the nursery side of it, because I'm very, very skeptical about the way, if I've entrusted my young child in the hands of somebody, I want to understand how they are going to be catered for. I want to understand how their health is going to be prioritized. So when I visited, especially the nursery wing, my child is in playgroup. Playgroup is a class for, I think, the reception class, which you can call the daycare, yeah? But at Stoneridge, we call it playgroup. When I visited that section in particular, I was in awe. I was, it was an impression that just struck me there and then. And I thought, finally, I have got a place where my children will be very comfortable. They will be everything. I thought, anyway, this is just something. It's a school that is actually doing advertising. It needs. I want to first hear it from the horse's mouth. The day that my children go to school, I want to know and hear their stories. Oh my God, my children came back. They were very excited. And by the way, I'm not saying this because I've been paid or anything, but from the point of view of a child, of a parent who wants the best for their child, I was blown away. My expectations were more than met. As in, they were beyond met, because I had very high expectations for the school from the very beginning, from the very day I went, but they were blown away. What I look out for is, first of all, the food itself. How is the menu for the children? Away from the academics, of course, how is the menu? How about the spacious, the environment? Is it spacious enough? If you went and walked into the Stoneridge school, in any class, you will not find more than 30 children. I think I've even put it very high. You will not find more than 25 children in one school. In one class. They are very, each one has their own space where they can do their work. When it comes to the sports and co-curricular activities, there's a very big football pitch. There's a lot of things, not renovations, but there are things that are being done in terms of building. I think there's going to be a swimming pool at one point. The place is whoever the director or whoever built that place, I think they must have gotten their ideas from an international kind of perspective. Those are the schools that I see, international schools. When you see how the Stoneridge school is set up, and then you compare with, say, Kampala International School or Acorns International School, the similarity is not very it is not very different in the way this school was set up. When it comes to the reception, I must say that I was well received with my children. Right, reception that comes from the director or the proprietor of the school right from the very beginning, and they are showing you around. The head teacher is actually working with you to show you from class to class, to give you this kind of assumption that it's not only going to stop at the time you join, but it will continue. Because every time that I drop my child, there has to be somebody who is going to receive them as though they've just seen them, as though it is the first time. So that kind of love that the teachers, the proprietors of the school, the non-teaching staff have for the children is very, very welcoming. I've noticed something. My child is known by name. Yeah, my children, all three of my children, there's Russell, there's Ivy, and there's Sasha. My children are known by name by each and every person who works at the Stoneridge. And this is not like blowing it out of proportion, but the day that a non-teaching staff, the person who serves their meals, came and held my child and called her by name, I was like, oh my God. So Ivy is known by everybody around here. And then Russell told me, no, but they also know all our names. I don't know why. Is it? And it's not that the number of children is very low, that everybody will get to call each other by the name. There are many. The number is growing. But by the time there's that kind of relationship where the teachers, a teacher of P4 can know the name of my child who is in play group, that is something that is actually applaudable. The other thing that I would also look out for is the number of co-curricular activities. What Mon talked about, this innovation that motivates our children to go to school. My child is a lover of ballet dancing. And she couldn't get it where I was taking her. And right now, she wants to go to school. At least if there isn't anything else that is motivating her in terms of academics, there is something to wake up to every morning. Mommy, today is ballet dancing club. My son loves football. He dreams football. He enjoys football a lot. He's in the football club, and every time he wakes up, this boy, I don't know how I can say it, but he has been motivated. He has been made to love school by the Stoneridge School because of the things that they impact, the other things aside from academic, the traditional academics that they instill among the children. It is what is motivating them. Then the ownership, these people have, they own their education. It's not something that is going to be this kind of education doesn't spoon feed them, but they give them, they nurture them into actually owning their education. In that, if maybe I could give you an example, there's a club called the Young Engineers Club that my boy of P4 is part of. One day he brought to me a project that he had done. And I asked him, you mean, Russell, you have done this project by yourself? And he said, yes. I mean, it is something small. And to him, it wasn't even a big deal. He was like, Mom, you mean something like this you cannot do? And he wasn't able to do it before he joined the Stoneridge School. So that kind of ownership that they are giving our children to love and be able to put their hands onto something away from the brain, away from the traditional academic, the traditional curriculum, it is what fascinated me most to take my children there. Thank you. I've overtalked. I'm a communications person.
No, it's okay. They say, when the spirit is moving, you let it move, right? Yeah, you've shared quite a lot, and I'm starting to kind of understand why any parent will fall in love with a school of this kind. The Stoneridge School, there's that acceptance, that acceptance for your child to be who they really want to be and to explore as much as they possibly want. And when you mention the core curriculars, it brings me to something that I want to now involve Catherine in. Catherine, around the issues that Jackie has mentioned, there's some very important points around clubs. Yeah. There's a number of clubs. There's a number of co-curricular activities that are happening. I did read somewhere about kids getting involved in science projects. I mentioned about the baking and whatnot. There's a lot that is happening for these kids that may not necessarily be what's the word, graded in class, right? May not add to your academic credit, but it's a very big deal in the growth of a child. My question to you, well, not much of a question, but my question, yes, my question to you, Catherine, is around these core curricular activities, right? What kind of balance is created for a parent to be sure that my child is going to school, but they're not going to spend the whole day kicking a ball about, right? Or they're not going to spend the whole day in class reading books, or they're not going to, like, that perfect balance that creates proper child development, proper learning, development of all their cognitive abilities, development of all their talents. How is the Stoneridge School able to create that perfect balance? Because we all know kids love a fun time. Absolutely. And if your child loves music and they want to be around music all the time, right? But to be able to create that perfect balance whereby, yes, they are in love with music and they're exposed to music as much as possible, but they also are exposed to, quote unquote, the traditional learning, which is what is happening in the classroom and whatnot. Catherine, how are you able to create that balance between the two? How are you able to feed a child without overfeeding them or underfeeding them with the right kind of education?
Yeah, thank you. It's just amazing at Stoneridge how many different clubs and exciting things there are going on. And I think every time I walk in, I learn something else. I just heard we've got a new baking club starting next year. Just sorry, I'm trying not to correct you. I think not correct you, but maybe pick up a point that I think maybe the idea that if you're having fun, you're not learning. You didn't say that. You said that if you can't have too much fun or something. But I think learning should be fun, and I think if it should be one of life's pleasures in life is to learn and to grow all through life. I think it was Gandhi who said, "You're old when you stop learning, whether you're 3 or 83." So learning is fun, and the clubs, really do provide that level of fun. And I know from when I was at school, that the reasons I went to school and I worked hard in my classes because I wanted to go and do the sports. And I think that mum who just spoke about her daughter wanting to do ballet, um, and that's great if that's your motivation and that's your passion. You learn so much from doing these things. Like you can learn leadership and teamwork and some of those things we talked about, communication, about resilience, and these are really, really, really important parts of learning. And sort of, if we just focus on those examinable things, we've got a very tunnel vision, and then when we finish school, yes, we've passed the exams, but we haven't grown in all the other areas, and we're not ready for the world. Whereas I think at Stoneridge, yes, you pass the exams, but all these wonderful things provide so many opportunities to help you find your passion, to help explore things, get experience of a whole wide variety of things.
Yes, and again, I'm happy to be well, not necessarily corrected, but I'm happy to be updated, right?
It's a teacher in me.
Because
I'm like,
no, that's okay, because the one thing I also know is that, I mean, when we have these spaces, part of my role is to help listener out there, um, can get everything, can get all the juice, because it's easy to assume that everybody knows everything. So for me, my role here is to kind of bring all of it out, and I'm glad that, Catherine, you're picking up on it, and helping to clarify, right, for lack of another word, and that's a very good thing. The other thing that, before you go, the other thing that I kind of want to hear from you is, I mean, being around kids, yeah, being around kids, especially those who are in primary. There's a certain, you kind of become one of them, right? In the sense that, because you feel with them, you listen to them, you understand the language they speak, and it's easier for you to communicate with them, right? The thing about the rest of the people who may not necessarily be in that area is, we become detached, right? We become detached from the needs of the children, from the language that the children speak, from the desires of the children, from the wants of the children. And for you, as the person who is in there, what are some of those those struggles you would like the rest of us to know? Some of the things that you've been experiencing with the children, and you would be happy if the rest of the world knew, but either we're oblivious to, or we just don't want to listen, we don't pay attention. What are some of those things, when you're dealing with children, that you pick up on, and it's a shame that the rest of the adults, who sometimes even their parents, don't pick up on? What are some of those? Because you spend a lot of time with them, and sometimes you understand them better than the rest of us. So what are some of those things that, when you're with children, you pick up on, and you think, I should share this with everybody else? People need to know, for example, that children are full human beings. People need to know that children deserve empathy, or need to be listened to, or should be treated as, I don't know. What are some of those things?
yeah, I mean, I think, thanks for that. And I do think I have I've had a really great career in that I've had the chance to spend so much time with children, and talking to children. I think, the wonderful thing about children is they always surprise you. And they have so much delight. I really urge parents to talk to their children, even things that are quite tricky conversations or difficult things. You'll always be surprised how much how much children can actually talk about things. And I think, really sitting down and talking with children about different issues and how they're feeling at school and how they're feeling about their teachers and learning, and maybe some discussions around things that are happening in the world. I also think one of the things I always like to say to parents as well is you need to remember that children are just small adults. So if if you don't like something, they don't also children don't like it. And if you think about how you like to work in the office, and how long your concentration is and how long you can focus for, and children, you need to minimize that. So I think I learned at Teacher Training College that we have 1 minute of concentration for each year of our life. So that kind of means that we need to I won't tell you how many minutes I've got, but I think, that especially in the younger classes, that things need to be changing. We need to be doing different activities, and we need to be stimulated in different ways. Yeah, and yeah, I think does that give you some insight?
Yes. No, it really does. It really does. It really does. And I'm appreciative of the fact that it's good to introduce parents to this idea, that children are just small adults. They're just little adults, which means what you feel, what you think, what you fear, what you worry about, a child as well does. They think, they feel, they worry. It's just that perhaps the way they communicate it might not be the way you communicate it. And once you know that, you have a bit more grace when you're dealing with children, and that's a very important point. Guys who are listening, if you'd like to ask a question, feel free to request for the microphone. We'll be happy to pass it on to you. If you have a comment, if you have any issues you want to discuss, it would be nice to hear from you, and not just about Stoneridge School, but just generally about primary education and having these young learners, because parents struggle with these young learners. There, like Catherine mentioned, their brains are developing very quickly, and they have the element of surprise. They have the ability to spring up the wildest of surprises for you, and you have to kind of allow yourself to be dynamic, allow yourself to welcome as expansive surprises as possible, so that you have a lot more space to help the child to grow. So if you have questions, feel free to ask. If you have any contribution, we'll be happy to receive it. But in the meantime, those who are just joining us, again, welcome. We're just having a conversation around primary education in Uganda, how it's changing, how parents and guardians today can make the most of the information that they have at their disposal to pick the right school for their child, and how involved they have to be in educating their children, as was very eloquently mentioned here by nearly all the speakers. A parent today has got to be more involved in the raising of their child, not just within the four walls of their house, but also at school, which means you need to know the teachers. You need to interface with them. You need to find out how the child is getting on at school. You need to find out what sports are they involved in, what clubs do they love, what co-curricular activities do they want to be a part of. And if you have a school that has a plethora of these activities, you have many to pick from. And the Stoneridge School, the one thing that I give them credit for is, I mean, as a parent, um, if you come to this school and you ask them for what your child can develop in terms of talents, there's just so many things you'd be spoiled for choice. And it's a good thing, because children themselves as talent as possible, because you just never know what they'll pick up on. You just never know what they'll love. You need a school that's going to give you all these different things from which the child can pick. They can pick this and that and the other. And the day when I passed by, there was a chess club that was gathering. I'm a big chess fan. Sat down with them for a bit. Um, it was a good, kind of. I thought to myself, I learned chess when I was a bit older. I learned chess when I was about 14 or so. But these are kids who are way younger than I was when I learned it, and they love it, and they're interfacing with the teacher, and they're having all this fun and practicing all these moves. And I'm thinking, I would have loved that. Perhaps I would have been, world beater at chess. You never know. I would have been a Gary Kasparov or something. But yeah, so it's good to have all this information at your disposal. And anybody who's listening, feel free to check out the Stoneridge schools. Check out their website, see what's happening. Go to the school, find out for yourself. Go pay them a visit, right? Go and ask them those hard questions. Ask them about their admissions. Ask them about their fees, the fees structure. Ask them about their diet, right? Ask them about their food. Ask them to take you around the classrooms. Ask them about their clubs. They have all these clubs that you can um, you know just have your child be a part of. Because some kids are well, introverts. They don't want to be a part of the larger group. They love these smaller groups, and the school makes room for that. As we kind of prepare to wind up, there's a couple of people who have requested for the microphone. I do have Subuga Daniel. Daniel, if you could, let's see. Do we have you? Oh, yes, we have Daniel. So, Daniel, if you could unmute your microphone, it would be nice for us to hear from you, whether you have a question or a comment. Suga Daniel, please, if you have a question or a comment, unmute your mic and share with us.
Greetings, participants. This is Daniel. I'm a parent at Stoneridge. I have 2 kids with you guys. Actually, I love everything about you. The environment is so good. The learning environment, everything. So far, I'm not complaining. But I would love to know, because I'm much curious about to hear about when the swimming pool is about to start. That's all. Thanks, guys.
Fabulous. Catherine, do you want to perhaps jump in here?
Sorry, I was losing connectivity. Could you?
Yeah. He asked something about the swimming pool. He wants some information on perhaps when that will be done. Might you have some information there you can share with us?
I think with everything that we are, there's lots that we want to do, and we're kind of putting that into sort of short, medium, and long term goals. I'd say the swimming pool is in a medium term goal. We feel that we've just finished doing a review of learning within the school, and we feel that there's some other slightly more pressing issues that we would like to prioritize above the swimming pool. But sports is very important.
Yeah. I also know, and this is something I know from conversations I've had with some of the people at the school, that while they're working on constructing one in the school, there is there's a program they have, there's a schedule they have for the kids to swim out to go to a swimming pool outside of the school. So they have that already. What they are working on though is getting the pool inside, constructing one inside the school. Daniel, from what we are gathering, it's just a moment of just a matter of time, but it is a work in progress. And yeah, I don't know if we have another question. So maybe Catherine, the other thing you can speak to is now for a parent who wants to swing by for interviews or admissions or whatever. What do they need to carry? How much will it cost? What does that look like? Maybe you can just speak to that.
Yeah, we welcome you to stop by and come and meet us and have a look round. I think choosing the right school is a bit like choosing the right pair of shoes. You need to not just, you need to try them on, and you need to walk around, and you need to feel if this is the school that's right for you and your child. So please, anytime, come by. You'll find a team of us there, happy and ready and willing to talk about the Stoneridge and hear about your child and listen to what you hope for your child, and we can see, if we can, if we can be the right school for you and your child. Have if you can you can have a look on our websites, and you can get all of the information that you might need, but just turn up. You don't need anything. Not at all. We'll welcome you to have a look, and we'll show you around, and we'll tell you about what the next steps are, and following on from that visit. If you like us, and we like you, then the next step is to book an assessment day with your child, but we can tell you about that when you come and see us. So
Oh,
you're
that's
welcome.
nice. Yeah. So basically, anytime a parent can swing by, or a guardian can swing by, and just do a bit of recon, right? Do a bit of research, and find out, have your checkbook, rather, not your checkbook, your checklist, right? Your checklist for the things you want that are important to you. Come to school, and then you check them as you go around the school, and then eventually you can bring your child, and as Catherine says, you can then start the conversation around perhaps admission or assessment, pre-assessment, or whatever there is. But again, I want to emphasize that for a person who is a guardian, who is a prospective parent, someone who is, a first-time or second-time parent, it's usually very tough trying to figure out a school that gives you what you need without necessarily costing you an arm and a leg. There's this very misconstrued assumption people have that expensive schools are the best schools, and for me, the reason why I would like parents, prospective parents, to go to Stoneridge is to kind of to wipe away that mystery about a school that is expensive is a good school. That thing is not necessarily always a fact, right? It's good for you to go to the school and find out what is it exactly about this school that sets it apart from other schools, because the only way you're going to find out which school is good for your child is if you go there and ask them the tough questions, and find out what exactly is on the ground. Yeah.
If I could add one more
Yes,
thing.
please. Yes.
Ask your children as well. We really urge you come round with your children, and ask your children as well what they would like in a school and what they wouldn't like. They're, like I said, they're really good people to have chats with, because they're actually the ones who are going to be there day in, day out, every day.
Yeah. I think we've established here that you're a great proponent for the child being a big part of the equation. And why not? I mean, they are the actual direct clients, are they not? They are the actual consumers of the service, for lack of another word. So they deserve to know and feel and get a sense of whether they like the school or not. And from what I know, at least once they pay a visit to the school, um, you have no option but to fall in love with it. But again, don't take my word for it. Get your child, get your children, go to the school, and as Catherine says, anytime, preferably of the day. Yeah, anytime. Working hours, possibly before at 4 p.m. Go there and just sit down with the administration of the school and find out whatever you would like to find out regarding how you can possibly have your child get this good education, get this international kind of outlook, while having as we had been corrected earlier on by the good doctor, an NCDC curriculum, not a UNEB curriculum, right? Yes. So again, for everybody who would like to know about the school, feel free to follow them. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. The handles are on Twitter. It's the one that's hosting the space, Stoneridge _ school, rather SCH. On Instagram, I believe it's the same, and on Facebook. And check out their website as well. There's a lot more information there. And in case you need much more than that, there's a couple of flyers they've shared on their pages. There's phone numbers there. You can pick up the phone and dial the number and have a one-on-one conversation with them, so you can get a grasp on what the school looks like, what it feels like, what they're offering you and your child, or your bundles of joy. Yes. As we wrap up, I want to get one final word. First of all, from our distinguished parents, I'll start with Watmon. Watmon, if there's a prospective parent who's listening to you, you've been a parent at this school for a while. What are they missing out, and what encouragement would you have for them, so they can just come and check out the school with their child? What one, as we wrap up? Okay, it seems the microphone is playing tricks. I'm going to move to Jackie. Yeah, Jackie. Yes, as a model parent. Yes, what advice are you giving to any prospective parent out there who's listening to the space? Any guardian, somebody who's looking around for the right school for their child? What advice are you giving them?
Yeah, thanks, Bernard. For a model parent, or when I could say modern parent, and I want to believe that in Kampala, most of us are modern parents, and we are increasingly prioritizing a well-rounded education, that goes beyond the traditional academics. I want to believe that most of us are seeking schools that focus on academic achievement. That is one, but also we want to place emphasis on the development of critical thinking, critical thinking, creativity, emotional intelligence. And so far, I have seen all that. It is an all-rounded kind of education at the Stoneridge School. I would think that as we look at educational institutions elsewhere, we want to look at institutions that are going to foster supportive and inclusive environment, that kind of environment where you're interacting with the teachers as parents. The teachers are interacting with the children. We've left the communications lines open in all ways. Children are not afraid to go and speak to the teacher about a problem. Parents are not scared. There are some schools where parents actually cannot say a word. They feel if I go, they will stigmatize or they will victimize my child because I've spoken about this. But I think I haven't found that yet. The communication is very, very effective. It is very transparent. And this school has met most of our expectations. Okay, I will say on my own behalf that it has met my expectations. It is implementing this kind of innovating teaching methods. It's offering a diverse extracurricular activities. The communication lines are being opened. So really, if there is a parent out there that is not taking their child at the Stoneridge school, I think you're going to be missing out a lot. And what more can I say? You would think that a school that is giving all that is also very expensive at the other turn of the fees and all. But when you compare, when you put our schools as modern parents who would want to have some kind of holistic education for our children, if you would put most of these schools around Kampala on a weighing scale, the school fees at the Stoneridge school doesn't move very far away from what the other schools are charging. I could say that. And moreover, that school fees encompasses all these other activities that are away from the academics. The school fees is catering for the tools for the learners, things like books, textbooks. I mean, you just walk in with your money and everything is got at school. The knowledge is got there, and everything else is got at school with that money that you have paid. So I think it is giving us what we want, and any parent who is not taking their child to the Stoneridge school, just walk in there and see what they have to offer. I believe me, you will be attracted to this school. You will be attracted to it. Thank you, Birol.
All right. Thank you, Jackie. And finally, well, before I come to Catherine, Dr. Rebecca had to leave us earlier. She had some engagement, but from what she shared, I mean, coming out of, and know now it sounds like the pandemic was a long time ago, but it was a very momentous, it was a very huge, period in this curriculum development, kind of in the process of developing this new curriculum, because a lot of the stuff that they needed a gap, they needed some kind of window, to press the reset button, for lack of another word, right? And now a lot of the stuff that kids are being taught is evolving. It's evolving, it's changing, and for the better, which can only mean, we are heading for better times. Having said that, schools like the Stoneridge, what they're doing is embracing this curriculum, and kind of allowing your child to explore their abilities, their talents on a more global scale, which means while they are in Uganda learning a curriculum that is examinable based on Ugandan standards, they actually are able to thrive in a global society. They are able to thrive in the international, which means if your child, for example, left the Stoneridge and went elsewhere outside of Uganda, they would thrive. So that is the thing that I think the Stoneridge is trying to do. So, Catherine, as we prepare to wrap up, you've said so many, lovely, awesome things, and you're pushing the agenda for children, which I love so very much. I want you to give, I don't want to call them parting shots, because parting shots sounds very sad. I want to call them final remarks, right? Regarding a parent who has been thirsty and hungry for a school that's different, right? Because there's so many schools that are being set up with the international, in quotes, connotation, with this whole international vibe. But when you get to the school, it's anything but international. It's everything but that. So as you prepare to kind of wrap up, Catherine, what tell a parent who is hungry for such a school, who is thirsty, who is yearning for a school that caters to all, and by all I mean all, the needs of their child?
I'm sorry, I was going to correct you again. That I don't think we can cater to all the needs, but we can cater to as many. It's been wonderful to be part of this panel and to be with such interesting and thoughtful people. And I think in the same way that it's been wonderful to be part of the journey of Stoneridge, I think it's a really exciting time for education in Uganda and in the world. And things are going to change radically in the next 5 and 10 years with artificial intelligence and lots of different things. I think what Stoneridge offers is, in some ways, it offers something that you can look to the future with, but it's also very much rooted in something, a local curriculum that we understand, that we are within the system of the Ugandan national curriculum, very proudly Ugandan, very very proudly an looking at African school, and making sure that our children are learning within the African context, but to a world-class standard. So just to say, that I think the school motto in Stoneridge is to inspire and to discover and to learn, and I think it's something that we all need to do together, and as a community, that there's there's going to be some. I'm happy to be part of it, and I hope that other people can join us.
Lovely. Thank you, Catherine, for sharing your insights. Expect visitors to come to your school. Thank you very much, Jackie, for sharing your experience as a model parent. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Watmon, as well, for being a part of the conversation. And in absentia, obviously, I would like to thank the doctor, Dr. Gladys, for sharing with us some of the beats from the NCDC. And I also want to thank everybody who has been a part of this space one way or the other. You're awesome. And make some time and pass by the school and just find out, what they have to offer, and ask them, like I said, ask them the tough questions and see if you can take your child there. And finally, as I wrap up, in typical fashion, nobody ever thanks the moderator. So I would like to thank myself for for holding it down. I want to wish all of you a fabulous evening, and a great start to the weekend, and a beautiful beginning to the Nsenene season. Stay safe, don't drink and drive, take care of yourselves, treat your children like they are full human beings, and most importantly, love one another. Thank you, and adios.